Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj. I welcome you all to the Srimad Bhagavatam call. Today we are very fortunate. We have Her Grace Parameshwari Padmavati Dasi Mataji from Mayapur, but Mataji now is in Canada. So Mataji will be enlightening us from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, verse number 58 onwards. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj. You may take over the call when you are ready.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So I would like to offer my respectful obeisances to all the assembled devotees over here. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So I'll just share my screen just a second. Prabhuji, can you, should I share this first?
Okay. Yeah, let me make you a presenter. 1 second.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Tvayi. So welcome everyone. We are reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, text number 58. So today I'll be covering text 58 and 59, 2 verses. Abhaditopiya abhaso yatha vastutaya smrita durgatatvad aindriyakam tatvat artha vikalpitam. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah. Abhadita, rejected. Api, although. He, certainly. Abhasaha, a reflection. Yatha, as. Vastutaya, a form of reality. Smritaha, accepted. Durgatatvat, because of being very difficult to prove the reality. Endriyakam, knowledge derived from the senses. Tadvat, similarly. Artha, reality. Vikalpitam, speculated or doubtful. Translation. Although one may consider the reflection of the sun from a mirror to be false, it has its factual existence. Accordingly, to prove by speculative knowledge that there is no reality would be extremely difficult. Purport. The impersonalists try to prove that the varieties in the vision of the empiric philosopher are false. The impersonalist philosophy, Vivartavad, generally cites the acceptance of a rope to be a snake as an example of this fact. According to this example, the varieties within our vision are false, just as a rope seen to be a snake is false. The Vaishnavas say, however, that although the idea that the rope is a snake is false, the snake is not false. One has experience of a snake in reality, and therefore he knows that although the representation of the rope as a snake is false or illusory, there is a snake in reality. Similarly, this world, which is full of varieties, is not false. It is a reflection of the reality in the Vaikuntha world, the spiritual world. The reflection of the sun from a mirror is nothing but light within darkness. Thus, although it is not exactly the sunlight, without sunlight the reflection would be impossible. Similarly, the varieties of this world would be impossible unless there was a real prototype in the spiritual world. The Mayavadi philosopher cannot understand this, but a real philosopher must be convinced that light is not possible at all without a background of sunlight. Thus, the jugglery of words used by the Mayavadi philosophers to prove that this material world is false may amaze inexperienced children, but a man with full knowledge knows perfectly well that there cannot be any existence without Krishna. Therefore, a Vaishnava insists on the platform of somehow or other accepting Krishna. Tasmat kenapya upayena mana Krishne niveshayet. When we raise our unmixed faith to the lotus feet of Krishna, everything is revealed. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjan madashraya asamshayam samagram mam yatha gyasyasi tachrunu. Now hear, O son of Pritha, Arjun, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So, simply by raising one's staunch faith in Krishna and his instructions, one can understand reality without a doubt. Asamshayam samagram mam. One can understand how Krishna's material and spiritual energies are working and how he is present everywhere, although everything is not him. This philosophy of achintya, bheda, inconceivable oneness and difference, is the perfect philosophy enunciated by the Vaishnavas. Everything is an emanation from Krishna, but it is not that everything must therefore be worshipped. Speculative knowledge cannot give us reality as it is, but will continue to be nefariously imperfect. So called scientists try to prove that there is no God and that everything is happening because of the laws of nature. But this is imperfect knowledge because nothing can work unless directed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10 by the Lord Himself. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagadvipar rivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya gives this note. Durgatvad arthatvena parameshwarenaiva kalpitam. The background of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. This can be understood by a Mahatma who is perfect in knowledge, and such a Mahatma is rarely seen. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashlakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Natinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatadane Vanshakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sandhudva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So, welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class and discussion. And I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can speak something worthwhile on these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we are seeing that, how Narad Muni is giving instructions to Yudhishthir Maharaj, and the chapter is entitled as Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. And in this particular verse, the concept of how, when there's a reflection of something, like if example here, the example is given of reflection of the sun from a mirror. People are saying, I mean, there's a theory that can be considered false, but in reality, it's not that the sun does not exist. So, to prove anything by speculative knowledge that there's no reality would be extremely difficult. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving various examples. Like in the first paragraph, he explains that, how that if you see a rope as a snake, now that interpretation might be false, that we are perceiving a rope falsely as the snake, but doesn't mean that there is no snake that exists. So similarly, in this material world, everything that we see, it's a reflection from the spiritual world. Like for example, when we look at in the spiritual world, the highest form of devotion, that is madhurya rasa, or service in the loving conjugal relationship, which is displayed by Srimati Radharani and the gopis towards Krishna. Now, that is the purest form of love that can exist, and it exists in the spiritual world. But when we come to the material world, that same thing, we see the perverted reflection here in the form of lust, and we see how lust in this material world is condemned. In fact, as practicing sadhakas, one of the four regulative principles that we have to follow is no illicit sex. So, you know, so from that perspective, if we look at, anything that's existing in the spiritual world, because material world is a perverted reality, the thing that is the highest in the spiritual world, that becomes the lowest in this material world. Like, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's an example of this banyan tree that is given. So there's a huge banyan tree with, roots and everything, and that is existing in the spiritual world. And then when you take the reflection, you get to see the reflection, a perverted reflection in this material world. But at the same time, we need to understand that neither the spiritual world is false, that is a perfect reality, and at the same time, this material world also, everything that exists in the material world is temporary, but it is not that it does not exist. It's not mithya. Like, some of the Mayavadi philosophers, they say that material world is also false. That's not the case. Srila Prabhupada has explained to us that the material world is a perverted reflection and it is temporary. Like, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Dukhalayam ashashvatam. So that's like a label given to this material world. It is ashashvat. Now, how can we understand all these concepts, which in one way are actually inconceivable? Like we see that, there are different bona fide sampradayas that is acceptable. Like we have the Shri Sampradaya, we have the Rudra Sampradaya, right? We have the Kumara Sampradaya, and then we have the Brahma Sampradaya. And, we come in the lineage of Brahmaji. So, different sampradayas have different philosophies. For us, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, as Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnavas, our philosophy is of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, which means inconceivable oneness and difference. So, this is like the perfect knowledge. But because it is so inconceivable in nature, how can we, as neophytes or as just beginners in this process, try to understand that? It can, so in Srila Prabhupada has written here, simply by raising one's staunch faith in Krishna and his instructions, one can understand reality without a doubt. Asamshayam samagram mam. Now, what is the importance of this staunch faith? We know that there are 9 steps, right, towards bhakti. So the 9 limbs of bhakti, when we say, It starts with Shraddha. Like Rupa Goswami has given it in, the Nectar of Devotion. So, Ardo Shraddha, it begins with faith. So, until and unless someone has strong faith, we cannot really, move to the next steps, which is like sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. And until and unless we are able to move to the subsequent steps, we cannot really achieve the goal of our life, which is Krishna Prem. So, what we need to understand is that we are trying to reach to Krishna Prem. We want to build a big skyscraper building, but the foundation for this building is staunch faith or Shraddha. And the stronger our faith is, the stronger the foundation of this building is, the easier and quicker we can raise to higher levels. Now, when we talk about faith, there are such wonderful examples in our Shastras wherein we can learn, or where we can actually understand how this strong faith uh, can lead to understanding of the reality. It can lead us towards Krishna. In this very canto 7, we saw in the previous verses where uh, so basically, like in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, there are so many examples, but Prahlad Maharaj's example is given. He was just a 5-year-old boy, and he had such strong faith in Krishna that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not get scared even when his father, the most powerful demoniac Hiranyakashipu, was trying to kill little Prahlad. Like, for us, if someone comes and, puts a gunpoint on our head and says that, okay, like, just say that Krishna is not, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and, Allah or someone else is, something like that happens, many of us might give into the fear and might actually just agree to what they're saying. Doesn't mean in the heart we accept it, but I'm just saying we might just, at least on our lips, we may just say it. And, we have seen it like in countries where it is not so common to practice Krishna consciousness. We do see that, devotees are also, they take a reserved stance. Like, they don't go all out in devotional attire, they don't go all out with tilak, kantimala, etc. They go in a very reserved manner so that they do not invite too much obstruction from the government, and they're able to do their devotional activities, and they're able to preach Krishna consciousness. So the point is that Prahlad Maharaj, I mean, it's so inspiring. Just a 5-year-old kid, and he had everyone in the kingdom, including his father, who was the king, who was the emperor of not only the earth planet but of all the universe. Like we know Hiranyakashipu, he had taken control over all the planets in the universe. So that Hiranyakashipu was hellbound that he wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj. But Prahlad Maharaj's faith was so strong. He had full surrender. He had full faith in the protection of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. And we know, like, how Prahlad Maharaj was saved time and again. Nothing happened to him when he was, thrown from a mountain peak. Prahlad Maharaj was protected in fire when Holika, like Hiranyakashipu's sister, she tried to take Prahlad and burn him alive. But Prahlad Maharaj was protected in that. He was protected when he was thrown in hot boiling oil. Right? He was protected there. He was protected when they tried to trample him with mad elephants. He was protected when he was left in, a dungeon of poisonous snakes. So how was this possible? It was possible because little Prahlad had staunch faith in Krishna, and therefore he had understood the reality that if Krishna wants to protect us, no one can kill us. And if Krishna wants us to be killed, then no one can protect us. Rakhe Krishna mare Krishna rakhe ke. So this was the thing. And then we know how at the end, when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj that where does your Lord exist? So Prahlad Maharaj says he exists in each and every atom, in each and every particle. And then Hiranyakashipu asked him that does he exist in this pillar also? And without a second thought or without a doubt, Prahlad Maharaj immediately said yes, he exists in this pillar also. And then we all know the wonderful pastime how, Hiranyakashipu, he just Like, he tries to smash the pillar, and then from that emerges Lord Nrsimhadev. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very beautiful verse. It says that Nrsimhadev appeared just to make true the statement of his dear devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. So, not that he doesn't exist in every atom or anything, but he is not visible to the naked eyes of demoniac people or people who do not have that faith. But because Prahlad Maharaj has said that he exists in this pillar, so in order to protect Prahlad Maharaj's statements and also to kill Hiranyakashipu, Lord appeared in his wonderful form of Nrsimhadev. So like this, when someone has strong faith in Krishna, then they can move mountains. So this was one point which I wanted to highlight from this purpose. Then I'll be moving, as I said, I wanted to discuss 2 verses today. So I'll be moving on to the next verse, that is text 59. Kshityadinamiharthanam chaya na katamapihi na sangato vikraropi na pritannanvito mrisha. Synonyms. Kshityadinam, of the 5 elements, beginning with the earth. Iha, in this world. Arthanam, of those 5 elements. Chaya, shadow. Na, neither. Katama, which of them? Api, indeed. He, certainly. Na, not. Sanghataha, combination. Vikaraha, transformation. Api, although. Na prithak, nor separated. Na anvitaha, nor inherent in. Mrisha, all these theories are without substance. Translation. In this world, there are 5 elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. But the body is not a reflection of them, nor a combination or transformation of them. Because the body and its ingredients are neither distinct nor amalgamated, all such theories are insubstantial. Purport. A forest is certainly a transformation of the earth, but one tree does not depend on another tree. If one is cut down, this does not mean that the others are cut down. Therefore, the forest is neither a combination nor a transformation of the trees. The best explanation is given by Krishna himself. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastita. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Bhagavad Gita 9.4. So everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. As it is said, Parasa Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. The Lord has multi energies which are expressed in different ways. The energies are existing, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead also exists simultaneously because everything is His energy. He is simultaneously one with everything and different from everything. Thus, our speculative theories that Atma or the living force is a combination of matter, that matter is a transformation of the soul, or that the body is part of the soul are all insubstantial. Since all the Lord's energies are simultaneously existing, one must understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But although He is everything, He is not present in everything. The Lord must be worshipped in His original form as Krishna. He can also present Himself in any one of His various expanded energies. When we worship the deity of Lord in the temple, the deity appears to be stone or wood. Now, because the Supreme Lord does not have a material body, He is not stone or wood. Yet, stone and wood are not different from Him. Thus, by worshipping stone or wood, we get no result. But when the stone and wood are represented in the Lord's original form, by worshipping the deity, we get the desired result. This is supported by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. which explains how the Lord can present himself everywhere and anywhere in a form of his energy to accept service from the devotee. So this is a very beautiful verse and a very beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada, wherein, the example is being given that how in this material world there are 5 elements, but, the body is neither a reflection of them nor a combination or transformation of them. So, if you look in the purport, there's a very beautiful explanation of given of how Lord Krishna also manifests in this material world, uh, using his various energies. Like he expands in his various energies. So, if we look at it, see, like Krishna, he does not have a material body. He has a transcendental body. But when he appears in his deity form or the Archa Vigraha form, which can be made either of stone or wood or metal, like Ashtadhatu, anything, that form becomes spiritualized. That deity form or Archa Vigraha form is not different from the Lord himself. And there are many wonderful pastimes. And today, like I would like to, probably meditate on few of those wonderful pastimes. So we all know that, I don't know in this zone, but in India, yesterday they celebrated Snan Yatra Mahotsav of Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. And we all know that after bathing, uh, you know, uh, like Jagannath ji, he actually gets fever. So once there was this devotee who had a doubt that how is it that the Lord can get fever? It's just inconceivable. So what he did, he slightly, he just tried to sneak in to the altar, because we all know that, after Snan Yatra till Jagannath Rath Yatra, the darshan is closed for general public. Only the pujaris are allowed to go and see the Lord. So this devotee, he just sneaked into the altar and he went and he touched the Lord. Like, how we touch a small child to measure temperature, like on the forehead. Like that, he went and he touched the Lord. And he was shocked. Lord's deity was it was like how the body is hot when someone has fever, like rising hot temperature. Like his hands literally got burned because of, the heat that was there. So then he realized that this is not just some wooden form, or, just not like some, just like ordinary statue, but it is really the Lord himself who is there. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Pratima nahi tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandan. That this is not just some statue, but your Lord, like him, your Lord Brajendra Nandan, Lord Krishna himself. Then there are some other, other very wonderful pastimes. We can just meditate on some of them today, as and when we have time. We all know that from a place close to Jagannath Puri, there's a place called Remuna, wherein there is this beautiful deity of Khirchur Gopinath. Many of you might have heard the pastime, but we would just like to discuss them once again today. Once what happened, Madhvendra Puri, who was in Vrindavan, he had this beautiful deity of Gopal, whom he was worshipping. And we all know how hot, or how hot the summers are in Vrindavan. So Gopalji comes in the dream of Madhvendra Puri and tells him that, I'm feeling very hot. Can you please get Chandan from Odisha? I want to have Chandan, sandalwood paste applied on me. So this is a proof that, the Lord, like Gopalji, he is not just a statue. Because if there's just a statue, why will they feel hot? Or why will they feel cold? Right? So we are seeing that how he is feeling hot and he's coming to his devotee and requesting him that, please get Chandan. So then Madhvendra Puri, getting the order of the Lord, immediately he starts walking. Now in those days there were no flights, there were no trains, there were no cars, nothing. They had to either go walking or on a bullock cart. That was the only way they used to travel. So Madhvendra Puri immediately started for Odisha. And as he was walking, he reached this place called Remuna, which is quite close. And when he reached the temple of Gopinath, that time they were just offering, the pujari was just offering bhoga to the Lord. And there they offered this wonderful kheer, or it's called rabdi, in small wood earthen pots to the Lord. So like that, there was a big preparation, almost like 35 pots which were being offered to the Lord. And Madhvendra Puri, while having darshan of the Lord, he saw that there was this nice bhoga offering that was being done. And he had a desire that if I could get one of that pot so that I could taste the kheer, then I could prepare a similar offering for my Gopal Titi in Vrindavan. So this was the thought that came to Madhvendra Puri's mind. But by then, the offering was not really done. And it's an offense to, actually think about eating the bhoga before it is offered to the Lord. So Madhvendra Puri immediately, he felt so repentful. He said, what kind of rascal am I? The bhoga, Gopinathji has not even had this, like the bhoga, he has not even tasted it. And I am thinking to take it for myself. Now, this is the greatness of a devotee. It was not that he wanted it for himself. He only wanted to taste it so that he can offer the same kheer to his Gopalji in Vrindavan. But, like acharyas or these great people, they set an example by their own practice. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas. The way the great people behave, the common man follow. So like that, Madhvendra Puri, in order to set that example, in order to teach us, he himself showed by practice. He repented of this thought. And immediately he left from the temple. He went away, and he decided that today I will not eat or drink nothing. I have committed a great offense. I should repent for it. And therefore he said that today I'm going to give up eating and drinking. So he went to a far off place, and he sat under a tree and he was chanting. Now in the meantime, in Gopinathji's temple, we saw that the bhoga offering was done, and then the pujari took all the prasad, he kept it, he distributed it. Then he closed the temple, and it was afternoon time, so he also went and he was resting. In his sleep, Gopinathji comes in his dream and tells him that I have kept one pot of kheer for my dear devotee Madhvendra Puri, who has come to Remuna. Please go to the altar, find that pot of kheer behind my deity, take it, and if you go to the nearby place, like the village, you just ask people, where is Madhvendra Puri, where is Madhvendra Puri, and you'll find him. Because in those days, in villages, like everyone knew everyone. It was like a small community. So if you have any new visitor, it was very common, it was very easy to find out, because that word would spread. So the pujari, he was shocked. He woke up from his sleep. He went to the temple. He took a bath, he went to the temple, he opened the doors, he, opened the altar. And behind the deity of Gopinath, there was indeed that kheer pot which was kept. Now, how can that pot ever come behind the deity of Gopinath? It's just not possible, because, unless and until Gopinath hides it behind him, it's just not possible, because no one else came to the temple, and the pujari did not keep it there. So, since that day, Gopinathji came to be known as Kheer Chor Gopinath, because he stole a pot of kheer for his dear devotee Madhvendra Puri. Then the pujari took the pot, and he went to the village, and he started asking everyone that, where's Madhvendra Puri, where's Madhvendra Puri? And then he found Madhvendra Puri under the tree, and he gave this prasad to him. So this pastime also shows how the Lord, or the deity, they are not just like some, form of wood or ashtadhatu or stone or anything. No. That form of the Lord is as transcendental, as spiritual as the Lord Himself. And we can also realize it when we advance in our practice of Krishna consciousness. Now, we know in our recent history, when Srila Prabhupada was there, once he went to one temple, and and in that temple, Prabhupada was having darshan of the deities. And after having darshan, he said that call the temple president. So the temple president was called. And then Srila Prabhupada told him that the deities have a complaint here that they are not being served nicely. That is, like proper standards of deity worship are not being followed. And then the temple president admitted that yes, Srila Prabhupada, it's a fact that because we have less people, less devotees, we are not able to maintain the highest standards of deity worship. So Srila Prabhupada immediately asked for, like devotees from other temples to be sent over here so that, we do not become slack in the standards of deity worship. So there are so many pastimes where the deities have communicated personally with Srila Prabhupada, personally with the pujaris who are worshipping them sincerely. And they have done. In Sridhar Mayapur, we all know, there are wonderful pastimes of reciprocation by the deities of like Narasimhadev or of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra and Rajapur Jagannath Temple. Right? I would like to share few of those pastimes as much as time permits. So we know that Narasimhadev, so the form of Narasimhadev in Mayapur is that of Ugra Narasimha. Now, typically, Ugra Narasimha is not worshipped because he is very ferocious. But then, because Mayapur is Audarya Dham, it is the land of compassion because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared there. So, Ugra Narasimha also imbibes that mood of compassion or mercy. So, he also has that Audarya bhav. And as a result, it is all right to worship Ugra Narasimha in Sridham Mayapur. So, we know like there's so many pastimes. There's one booklet also, and I think now that whole booklet is there on a website also called Pastimes of Narasimhadev. It's I forgot the link, but there's a website. If you just Google Pastimes of Narasimhadev in Mayapur, we can we reach that website. So once what happened, there was a devotee. He was like his parents were not favorable to Krishna consciousness, and he was working in a city called Delhi, which is far away from Mayapur. And he took, like with great difficulty, he took leave and he came to Sridhar Mayapur to pursue his Bhakti Shastri degree from the Mayapur Institute. Now, when he came to Mayapur, immediately, like in 1 or 2 weeks, he got chickenpox. Now, we just give me 1 minute, sorry. Prabhuji, just 1 minute. I just need to take this call. I'll just. Sorry, how do. Hi Krishna, I'm so sorry for sorry. Yeah. So we just there's an echo coming. Hi Krishna. Okay. I'm so sorry for this small halt. So yeah, we were discussing about a pastime, that how one devotee, he came to Sri Mayapur for doing his Bhakti Shastri degree, and in less than maybe 10-15 days, he got chicken pox. Now we all know that chicken pox is an infectious disease, and we also know that how there are these blisters that come on entire body. And typically in Mayapur, there are people from across the world who come to do this Bhakti Shastri degree, Bhakti Shastri course. So what happens is that in order to ensure that other devotees do not contract this infectious disease from this person, they asked him that, till you don't get cured, you cannot really come and attend your classes. And it was because with great difficulty, this devotee had taken leave from his office. He had convinced his family, and somehow he had come for this course. And then to see that he can't go for attending the classes for 2 to 3 weeks, it was something very painful for him. He didn't want to miss that divine association of all the devotees who are there in Mayapur teaching Bhakti Shastri. Like in those days, they were all, I mean, even now, sorry, there are all these, advanced devotees, sannyasis, brahmacharis, etc., who take the Bhakti Shastri course. So he didn't want to miss out on that. But then what to do? His body is full of chickenpox rashes, and he won't, I mean, he cannot go there because, it might infect others. So one day he stayed at home, but he was feeling so bad, so bad. So then someone told him that why don't you go and you pray to Narasimhadev? So now if he goes like this, they won't allow him in the temple. So what he did, he wrapped a blanket across his, he tried to fully cover him. And during Mangalarti, he tried to somehow sneak inside the temple. But he was not successful. The security guards found him and they stopped him. They said no, that you're having chickenpox and it will just cause infection. It can make others get it also. So please, you please go out. So then again he was very disheartened. What to do? So then he came and he maybe had a discussion with someone. So someone told him that you just pray to Narasimhadev from your room because you just cannot go you cannot go like this. So then he came to his room and he sincerely prayed to Narasimhadev that please, get rid of, let me get rid of this disease because I want to go and I want to resume Bhakti Shastri. And y'all will be shocked. The very next morning when he woke up, his whole body was clean. There was not a single scar, not a single rash. He was as if nothing had happened to him, He went outside. People were shocked. And this is not something which I've heard and which I'm telling. This is something which we have seen with our own eyes because during those years we were staying in Sri Mayapur. So this is something which my father has himself seen because he was responsible for looking after the administrative aspects of the Mayapur Institute then. So this is something which we have seen with our own eyes, like how a person got cured of chickenpox just in 2 days because of his sincere prayers to Narasimhadev. And this also proves that Narasimhadev in Mayapur, it's not just one form of stone or statue which has been put there. He's really there, he's there to reciprocate with the devotees. Then there was similarly one more wonderful pastime. There was one Mataji. So this was again 15-20 years back. They had changed the eyes of Narasimhadev. He typically has this red fiery eyes, but that time someone brought new set of eyes, so they changed it. And then there was this one Mataji. She was having weak vision, and doctors had said that she'll have to get some surgery done. So she was once just praying in front of Narasimhadev, and she heard a voice saying that I want my eyes back. She thought maybe it's her mind, which is playing games with her. So she started to move out. At night, again, she heard that same voice that I want my eyes back. And every day, for 3-4 days, whenever she was having darshan of Lord Narasimhadev, she was hearing this thing. So she thought maybe there is something. So then that time we had Pankajangri Prabhu, who was the head pujari for Narasimhadev. So this Mataji went and he spoke to her, she went and she spoke to him. And she shared that, every time I go to Nasamdev to have his darshan, I hear this voice saying that I want my eyes back. So what does this mean? So then Pankaj Chandra Prabhu understood. He said, yes, we've recently changed the eyes of Nasamdev. Like, someone got a new pair of eyes, so we have just changed it. So then they tried to make arrangements to get back those same red fiery eyes for Lord Narasimhadev. What had happened was that the previous set was again, it was given off as Maha to someone. So then again a new set of red eyes had to be made, and then they could have, changed it. So it took like this whole pastime, this whole series of events took around 2 to 3 weeks. And gradually, when they actually changed the eyes of Lord Narasimhadev back to those red, fiery eyes, this Mataji's vision was completely restored. When she went next to her doctor for appointment, he was shocked. He said that you don't need any surgery, you don't even need your glasses because your eyesight has been completely restored. It's as good as a normal person. So this was another pastime. Then there was like for Shri Radha Madhav, sometimes we have there are pujaris who, the tailors who prepare the dresses, the new outfits for the deities. So they often share that, see, if it's just a statue, then why you need to take measurement every time you are stitching clothes for the deities? You just have some sample dress and you can just take measurement from that and you can, stitch dresses for the deities. But no, the tailors say that every time, even though they make the blouses for the gopis, or they make the shirts for Madhava using the previous dresses that they have made, still every time they need to go to the altar, take measurements again, and then stitch or make alterations in these outfits. Why? Because sometimes it becomes tight for the Lord, sometimes it becomes loose for the Lord. So this cannot happen if it's just a stone, if it is just a statue over there. It is because we have Krishna and gopis who are personally present there, that based on how much bhoga offering they are being given by the devotees, sometimes they are also like either getting fat or they're getting loose, and therefore alterations are being required to be made in the outfits. And this is not just in Mayapur. I've heard this from devotees who are engaged in pujari services from various temples, whether it was Juhu in Bombay, Shri Radha Das Bihari Mandir, or you are like, I'm currently in Canada, so when I went to visit the Montreal temple, even there the pujaris shared the same thing, that for deities, their outfits do become tight sometimes. So then we have to get new outfits, or we need to make alterations. So this can only happen when it is a person who is residing there and not just some stone or statue form. Then again, coming back to Mayapur, we all know we have wonderful deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra there. So once what had happened, this was like in the old days where they still had a small temple for them in Rajapur. The deities, like we all know Jagannath, they love jackfruits. And besides the area where currently we have Rajapur Jagannath temple, there are wonderful trees of they're beautiful huge trees of jackfruits all across. And that time, because it was a small setup, the bhoga offering was still, at a very initial stage. So, they were not being able to offer so much jackfruits to Jagannath. So, one night, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, all three of them go to a nearby jackfruit farm and they start stealing jackfruits from that farm. So the security guard who was supposed to, protect the jackfruit farm at night, he sees that someone is stealing. So he goes behind them and he tries to, catch hold of them. Now, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, they are running, and this guard is running behind them. Now, obviously, he's a human being, so he cannot match with the speed of the Lord. So what happened was that somehow he was able to catch hold of the dress of Balram from behind, and while he was trying to catch it, Balram ran away. Now they were running, and they entered inside the altar area. Now, while following them, this security guard also enters the temple. And then he's shocked. No one is. He had three people, whom he followed all the way from the farm till the temple. But the moment he reaches the temple, he just cannot see anyone. So then, he's like, he's still trying to find where did they go? Where did they go? Where did the thieves vanish? And then the pujari who was sleeping there. So then, this guard, he wakes up the pujari. He says, where are these people? There were three thieves in my farm. They stole jackfruits. They came inside this temple and now they're vanished. We can't see them. So the pujari was like, what are you talking? There's no one here. There's only me and then there's the Lord. But then the security guard said, no, I saw three people running inside the temple. Look, I have this cloth. And he showed a piece of torn cloth. And the pujari was amazed because that was the very cloth, from the dress or the outfit that was offered to Jagannath Baldev Subhadra that day. So the pujari went inside the altar and he saw that from Balramji's uttari, there was a small section of cloth that was torn. And that exactly matched what the security guard had. This is just amazing because until and unless you really have the person, a person there, you cannot just have stone statues run in some park at night and, all this happen. So then the pujaris, they communicate, this was communicated to the higher authorities, and then suitable arrangements were made for offering of jackfruit to the deities every day. And we see how now, in Sridham Mayapur, like every evening at around 4 o'clock, they offer, there's a huge offering of jackfruits that is done to Jagannath Baldev Subhadra during the jackfruit season. So I think we have completed our time perhaps. So I would like to stop here. Are there any questions, comments from anyone?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. It was very wonderful to hear so many pastimes from you in one class. So, this is making us so happy today morning. Yeah, it was a wonderful class overall together. Only one more pastime passed. I think there was when, it was during Srila Prabhupada's time. Mayapur had so many robberies, and
Right.
so if you could please share that, and then after installing the deities Narsimha, this deity, everything was normal. So could you please elaborate? Thank you.
That's right. So yes, so as you shared, Praji, that when originally the Mayapur temple was coming up, that days it was nothing, like there was just rice paddy fields everywhere. We had Yoga Pit, the appearance place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That temple was there, and then across the road, if someone walks, then we had this ISKCON place where you could see the Bhajan Kutir, the huts where Srila Prabhupada and his disciples stayed, and the Lotus building which was being constructed. So it was just this. And in those days, there were so many thieves and robbers who used to come because they used to feel that our deities are made of gold. So they used to come to try to steal it. And we know this pastime, how once they were trying to steal Srimati Radharani, and they dropped some bomb. And, in order to protect the deities, His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Maharaj just came in front and that bomb fell on his feet. So, one of his legs had to be then cut off, and the surgery had to be done. So even now,
Yeah.
when we meet Bhakti Raghav Maharaj, he's only with one leg. So
Yes,
there was a lot of disturbance by the dacoits. So devotees, when they asked Srila Prabhupada said that a similar thing had happened in Yogapeeth also, where his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, had advised them that why don't you all get Lakshmi Narasimha and you all start worshipping Narasimhadev, because Narasimhadev is Bhakti Vigna Vinashak. So once he is installed, then you will get all the protection. And then this happened that once Lakshmi Narasimha were installed in Yogapeeth, then no more, they were not being troubled by any more dacoits or anything. So then the devotees in Mayapur, Atmatattva Prabhu, they started the whole process of getting Narasimha. Now it's not very easy to get a Narasimha form of deity. They, they consulted the sculptors in South India, and first they said, no, we will not make Ugra Narasimha because, it's very dangerous. But then the guru of the sculptor came in his dream and he said that, okay, for ISKCON devotees, you can make. Sorry, not in dream, he like in personally he said. And then, but then after a long wait, when Atma Tattva Prabhu went to south to inquire about the progress that had happened with the deity, the sculptor said, no, I've not even been able to find the right stone for this. Because again, Nasimdev, you cannot just make it with any stone. There is a specific quality of the stones that can be used for making this deities. So then that whole pastime is there. I'll not get into details, but then it was like a very uh, like intriguing pastime. What happened was that towards the end, when the sculptor actually got the Nasima deity ready, he had to go somewhere, he had to go away from his village. So what he did, he just offered a small puja. He left Nasimdev in one hut and he went away for like some 3-4 days to a distant village. When he came back, the whole hut was burnt. Everything was burning, because Ugra Nasimha was left alone in that hut without proper worship, without anything. So then, he had with his anger or with his this thing, the whole thing had got burnt. So then the sculptor immediately called Atma Tattva Prabhu in Mayapur and said that, your deities are ready, please come and please take them because I cannot I cannot worship them or I cannot take care of them for a long time. So then they all came, the arrangements were made to take Nasimdev from south back to Mayapur, and then there was a grand installation ceremony, and then all this problem of dacoits and everything was stopped. Also, just one more pastime, when Nasimdev was brought, because he was Ugra Nasimha, the pujari who was designated to worship Nasimdev, he was very scared. So once what happened after he closed the altar in the evening, he went and he kind of he was resting, he was sleeping at night, and then he saw in his night someone is coming, he's seated on his body with hands on the shoulders, and those claw marks like Nasimdev. So those marks, with that, and he's telling why are you scared of me? I'm not going to do anything to you. And then that whole conversation happens in the dream. And when this pujari wakes up, even today, those marks of Nasimdev are there on his shoulders. We read this pastime in the Nasimdev book. And then recently, once when we were visiting Mayapur, it just happened that Prabhu was also there. So then someone showed, someone just told us that he's that same person. And then I remember my father, he went and he actually saw that, those marks are there. So in this way, Narasimhadev, even though he's very ferocious, especially the Ugra Narasimha deity, but because in Mayapur he takes the Audarya bhav of Lord Chaitanya, he's very, very merciful to his devotees. And when this devotee, this Pujari, was scared to worship Narasimhadev, in order to remove his fear, Narasimhadev said that don't worry, you can worship, there's nothing to be scared of me. So like that, there are wonderful pastimes, so many pastimes that are there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. There are so many pastimes. When you said about the claws, there is one more pastime where I think it was while crossing the road on one child's,
Yes,
stomach or chest, there were marks of the Narasimha Dev, which saved his life. It is said. So, we can keep your one more class, in future, only on the pastimes of Narasimha Bhagwan. So, that will definitely let us know more on the Ugra Narasimha in Mayapur. Only one small question. I don't want to follow up question with this pastimes. I just don't want to take more time because it is already 8:21. Actually, is it recommend there are two kinds of Narasimha deities, right? One Ugra Narasimha and the other is the Shanta, means what we call that. It is a happy Narasimha.
Like other forms like Lakshmi Narasimha.
Yeah, Lakshmi Narasimha. Like when Narasimha Bhagwan kills Hiranyakashipu, and then initially he is very furious, he's shivering, the deity when he kills Hiranyakashipu. But afterwards, all demigods and everyone, they tried to pacify Narsimha Bhagwan, but it was not possible. Only it was possible through Prahlad Maharaj, and Prahlad
Hmm.
Maharaj sings the prayers for Narsimha Bhagwan, and then Narsimha Bhagwan keeps his hand on Prahlad
Pacifies.
Maharaj. Yeah,
Yeah.
pacifies. So, like, what is it recommended to keep like Ugra Narsimha deity at home, or is it recommended to keep the normal Narsimha deity at home? So, what do you suggest about that?
So, Prevji, what I've heard from my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, that for Grihastas, it is not recommended that we worship any other form of Nasimha at home other than Lakshmi Narasimha. So, this is what I've heard from him. So
Okay.
in our house also, we don't have a deity, we just keep photos. But initially we were keeping photos of the Mayapur Narasimha deity. But then when we heard this, so then we also brought in Lakshmi Narasimha. So this
Oh,
is the thing. Now, if
oh,
someone already has an old, they already have Narasimha deities of some other form, and they're already worshipping for various generations, then in that case, it's better to actually consult the spiritual master and do what he says, because I mean, not for Narasimha, but I've seen this for other forms. In our Gaudiya Vaishnav tradition, we do not worship Laddu Gopal. It's not something which is there in our philosophy. But
mm,
then we know many devotees in whole families, like as a part of their tradition, they have been worshipping Bal Gopal for many generations. So for such people, we have seen that they get that permission from the spiritual master to continue the worship, because a deity once worshipped, you cannot just go and leave them. So for new people, like definitely we should only worship Lakshmi Narasimha, but for people who have been worshipping some other form of Narasimha deity at home, it's better to ask the spiritual master and do as he advises.
yeah, because Narasimha deity, the Ugra Narasimha deity, yeah, yeah, really, we have to serve it in very proper
Right.
way if we keep. So that is the
Exactly.
reason. Maybe otherwise, the name itself is Ugra Narasimha. So but
Exactly.
at the same time, it is very protective also for everyone. What happened? I was serving in New Vrindavan, West Virginia, long time back. So during that time, someone, maybe some local community devotee had that deity, and they kept that deity outside the temple. Just on the uh, in the entrance on the left side of the temple, and no
Mhm.
one from temple, no pujari, no one was like even trying to touch the deities, because how it came,
Uh-huh.
from where it came, everyone was really, but someone has to take,
Right.
right? No one can leave it
Mhm.
as it is, so it is already there
Mhm.
in the footstep of the temple. So
Right.
then one senior, very old Mataji, she's the pujari there. Even I had done pujari services there, but like many other, even brahmacharis, no one touched that deity. But then finally, she was asking many of them, like, can you take? But no one took, and then finally, she took it to her room, and then
Mhm.
later on, what she did with it, I don't know, but it was she took care of that Narasimha. Yeah. So she is a senior pujari, so she knows how to. Finally, she took it,
Right.
and yeah. So yeah, just wanted
Mhm.
thought of sharing this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you
Yes.
so much. It was a very wonderful,
Thank you so
nice,
much.
and enlightening class for us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hey. Thank you,
So if,
Mataji, for wonderful class.
thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Pranams.
Dandavad Pranam Mataji. Thank you
Dandavat
for the wonderful
pranams.
class. And actually, you were talking about faith and how, with all these wonderful pastimes of reciprocation of the Lord, it is very difficult for a person not to get faith. And he manifests these pastimes just for us so that we can hear these and improve our faith. So thank you, Mataji, for bringing these wonderful stories. I'm from Kerala originally, so I have heard multiple ways that, like in Guruvayur, the Lord has also reciprocates many times with devotees, where he like when a devotee was ridiculed that instead of Amara Prabhu, he was saying Mara Prabhu, and everybody was like ridiculing the devotee. And then the Lord said, I am Amara Prabhu and Mara Prabhu also. And so there is um, there's like uh, a deity made for Mara Prabhu now there. Because the Lord said this, and then there's many instances where the Lord, when a devotee was going to see the Lord, like dacoits attacked, and what somebody came and say devotee, a military man, and this devotee gave his ring to the this person, and then when they went to the temple, the Lord was wearing the ring, and so many such wonderful pastimes I've heard. And then in Padmavati Swami's temple in Trivandrum, also there's Narasimha deity just outside where Anantashesh is, and the Lord is lying down. And then it is said that there's always a roaring heard in the night, and everybody got scared. And somebody said you have to remove a part of the Lord's finger so that he doesn't, roar every night or something like that. I've heard. Thank you, Mataji, for all the wonderful pastimes. And not Pranam. Hare
Yeah,
Thank
Krishna.
you for sharing these pastimes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Guruvayur pastimes, Prabhuji, what you shared, that is right. Like they catched those Lord in his form, moving around the temple in the night time, in the midnight time or early morning time. So they had the security could not see that, but it was observed like that. So this kind of pastimes and what you shared, Mataji, definitely that, as Prabhuji said, it helps the devotees like who are on the call or any neophytes. They definitely their faith becomes stronger. So this helps. Yeah. So I'll
Yes,
request
yes, yes.
Shyamarasika yeah, to keep your class, only for pastimes. It's yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, Guruvayur, there's one other pastime also where a nice devotee like Mataji got a garland and she was a little late. And so they asked her to just offer it to the tree, the big banyan tree outside, and she was very sad. She had painstakingly made the garland, and so she went home. But next day, when the pujari came to open, the garland was on the Lord.
Oh, Hari Bol.
Yeah,
Jai.
yeah. And so that banyan tree is now called Manjula banyan tree because her name is Manjula. There's one more pastime where the Lord, somebody, some little boy stole something and gave it to the Lord, and somebody, when parents saw that he was stealing something, they made a punishment for the boy to go around the temple like 100 times or something. And as this boy was doing the punishment, another boy was running around behind this boy.
Yeah. That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yes, because this was for the Lord, so he thought he should do the punishment. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing
Thank
these
you.
wonderful pastimes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna,
much
Dandavat Pranam.
for this nectar class. Such a wonderful pastimes and explanation of the verses 58, 59. So we are so blessed to have you, Mataji, today. And I would like to share that yesterday night at 11:30, I called Mataji because the today's speaker had some emergency and he couldn't give the class. And immediately she didn't think of 1 second also. She said, "Yes, Mataji, I will give the class at 11:30 night." So, and yes, such a beautiful class, Mataji. It was so wonderful. So
Okay,
please
Mataji.
come again, and I will talk to you more on this, like scheduling you once a month or twice a month if you have time. And then thank you so much, Mataji, for your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Anybody has any question or comment? Okay, let's end up the call here by paying obeisances. Vancha kalpatarvesha kripa sindhu vaita patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, दास ठाकुर की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, रुद्राज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, हरे प्रेमेश्वरी पद्मावती माता की जय. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, everyone. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank
Jai
you.
Srila
Dandavat
Prabhupada.
pranams.